And as I said, you are tuned to listener-sponsored radio, WBAI. I'm Mike Sargent, and we've been talking about 2020 and the most surprising, the most shocking, the most surreal moments of 2020. And we brought in an extra guest here to talk with us. Extra delegate. Brenda Black, are you there?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, Brenda. Yes, we can. And Brenda, this is Leighann. Leighann, this is Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
Hello.
Okay. So, Brenda, I want to ask you the question we've been asking the other delegates here. And that is, the first two questions were, what was the most for you, just looking at the year, because clearly, forget politics, okay, if you want. This has been a year of all kinds of surreal, crazy, wild things happening. What would you say was the most surprising thing that has happened this year, in your opinion? And just for those who are listening, Brenda Black is someone who's been on the show for a long time. She's been on BAI for a long time. I've known her for quite a long time. She used to do a radio drama here called Avenue X, that she wrote and created, where she played a vampire hunting for the vampire who created her. And she is a DJ, well-known DJ Brenda Black on the DJ scene. So, Brenda, what's the most surprising thing that happened this year, in your opinion, in 2020?
Are you talking about in the news? Like what happened in something that happened in the world? I was listening to the show earlier. You were mentioning monkeys stealing COVID and things of that nature. I mean, I feel, generally speaking, in the past couple of years, there's been these astronomical, like in planets, alignments that only happen every 30 years or every 100 years. Several have been happening in a cluster in the past couple of years. And I feel that it's affected the whole world, and we're living in a simulation, and none of this is real.
Really? So, like, you've actually come to this conclusion just from everything we're dealing with? Now, is that a yes? Yes?
I partly mean that, and I'm partly joking.
Okay.
But sometimes things are so bizarre. Generally, I say to myself, this is not real. This is a simulation. I think what's shocking to me is that two people can look at the same thing and come away in such a different way that as never before. It's as if humans are on the same planet, but we're living in separate and different dimensions of reality.
Absolutely. We spoke about this at the beginning of the show.
Oh, you did?
There are
I didn't
two
hear you. I only tuned in about 20 minutes ago or so on the app.
Listen, the fact that you would say that is why I would have you on the show. So I agree with you. Leighann, anything you want to say to that about the two worlds, the two realities that we're living in? Because I know you have some thoughts on this.
It's two at minimum.
That's a good point.
Everybody kind of has their own spin, their own reality. Again, we've been heading toward this for quite a while. You get the plethora of news outlets, news channels, sources of information. People can pretty much build their own bubble and just go with their own confirmation bias and to hell with everybody else. We also have cognitive dissonance, where once you've made a decision about something or you have a firmly held belief, it's very difficult to be talked out of that belief or to reevaluate it and make a different decision. Human beings don't like changing their minds because we like certainty. We don't like change. We don't like ambiguity. And so anybody that brings something different to you, that is not an opinion that you hold, can be seen not only as challenging your viewpoint, but challenging who you are in the world. And that is very, very difficult, for people. You're not just threatening their thoughts, you're threatening who they think they are. And so people are going to fight you on that.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly. And I want to add to that, just to say that I think not only are people living their own reality, but if someone's going to try and, let's just say, convince you of another point of view, a lot of the standard operating procedure is that people are, they're arrogant about their point of view, and if you don't see their point of view, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
So that's never going to convince anybody. Yeah, that's never going to convince people to listen to what you got to say. And so there goes the confrontation. There goes the lack of connection. Now, let me ask you another question, Brenda Black, because I haven't asked them this. All right, let me ask you what I did ask them. Was there anything shocking this year? Was there anything that's shocking or surprised you? Because those are two different things.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay. All right, then how about this? I feel that this year has been full of irony.
I have a problem with irony because as much as I will read the definition in the dictionary or people explain it to me, my brain just cannot grasp the concept of irony.
Well, clearly you're perfect for the show. What were you going to say, Leighann? I heard you sigh.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to. I didn't answer the question either about what was surprising.
Oh, please tell me. I want to know what was the most surprising. I thought you were the most surprised. You said pleasantly surprised by the TV show.
Then I'm sorry. I was waiting for the next thing then.
I
did have something, I guess maybe it was to add.
You wanted to add? Oh, please.
Yeah, which wasn't, it wasn't the surprising, it was the surreal. I didn't answer the surreal.
So the surreal, yes.
I'll wait.
What's the most surreal? No, tell me. Because I would like to know if, I don't think Brenda has experienced surreal this year, because she lives in the simulation.
I'm not sure if this qualifies under Joe's definition, adding in sort of a supernatural quality. I just remember it felt really surreal to be here in New York City, one of the biggest, most vibrant cities in the world, and watch it shut down. That moment when the mayor closed New York City public schools after the week before saying, no, we're going to keep them open, and shutting down something that's never been shut down before. It was such a blow to the city. We were like, this is real. This is surreal. This is happening. What? And then you go, what is happening? It was, and then if you had an occasion to be out and the streets are quiet and there's no traffic and it's like, oh, I've seen this movie. I don't like how it ends.
Exactly.
I don't like how this ends at all.
Will Smith and the dog. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Will Smith and the dog. And it was, I never thought I'd ever see anything like that in my life. Like, how do you shut down a world city? But it happened. And I had people reaching out to me from everywhere going, are you okay? Knowing that I live in New York. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I know I'm in my house, but this is weird.
Yeah, it was. I would definitely say it was surreal. The year is still surreal to me, and clearly, theme of the show, life is like science fiction. Reality seems surreal to me in general, just more so now, and just more like people are on board. Like more people are like, welcome to the same movie. So, let me ask you now, Brenda, because Joe got to answer all these questions. Now, Joe, do you know Brenda Black? Brenda Black, do you know Joe Masiri?
I don't think we were at the station at the same time.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Brenda. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You say that now because you haven't met him, but if you actually met him...
Yeah, if he knew me too, I'm a bitch, so...
All right, so here's my question to you, Brenda. Considering all that's happened this year and the divisiveness and the surreality and the just all the confluence, because there's been kind of a confluence of things. And again, I'm not even talking about politics. I'm talking about, murder hornets and like I said, the monkeys and
I miss the murder hornets. That was the most crazy normal story of 2020.
That was
like, where are they?
Typical. They're coming. Don't worry.
They couldn't take it anymore. They left.
What are your predictions? Exactly. What are your predictions? Do you have any predictions for the next 3 months? What do you see? Do you see peace? Do you see change? Do you see coming together? Or do you see devolving into civil war? What are your predictions for the next 3 months of 2020? Or are the aliens going to land?
Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
I'm going to hit you with some truth bombs.
Okay.
Okay. I think there's two realities. I'm going to give you two answers from each person that's in each reality that's in my head. So
that's perfect. This is why you're on the show.
One person in my head says, no matter who wins the election, the peaceful protesters who have been rioting, who have really hijacked a legitimate civil rights movement, they've hijacked legitimate issues that the black community has, and there are these Marxist socialists who have this plot to take over, and it's not a new thing. This is something that has been planned for a very long time, and I think that no matter who wins, they're going to try to continue their overthrow. I mean, they've been very successful in Portland. I mean, people make jokes about it, but they've occupied and they're rioting every night for 100 and what days. So I think this is going to continue. It doesn't matter who wins. People are saying, oh, they're Biden supporters. They're not Biden supporters. It's just that the Biden-Harris administration is more willing to negotiate with them, and the Trump administration is not. So I think that the potential for civil war is there. I think there's a lot of things going on. I think that men have been suppressed, and I think mankind. Okay, so now the other person in my head wants to talk. They were starting to talk.
You should use a deep voice now. Now, on the other side,
okay, now the other side is more surreal, and I feel like it's a battle, a spiritual battle that's going on, and it's a deeper battle. Humans don't have a natural enemy, so that's why we war. Like, bears kill other bears because bears have no other species that can kill a bear. It's the same with humans. And men are so suppressed. Like, men, if we look at history, and I don't mean just men, males, I mean humankind, we war. But I think that it's deeper. I think it's spiritual. I think there's a crack in the soul of humanity. I think demons have entered the earth and are possessing a lot of people. But we do, we have all these gadgets and toys, but we haven't really evolved that far from our monkey brain. Bees have things that they do. Well, and then also, sometimes I do think it's just all a simulation and somebody's laughing at us when you see some of the things that are going on. Sometimes I think, is the Illuminati real? I don't know. What's crazy to me is that if to go back to your previous question, what's something shocking and surprising to me is that I enjoy conspiracy theories as entertainment. So I would watch a lot of YouTube channels, which have now all been deleted. They've either been, YouTube has gotten rid of all of these channels. I didn't take them seriously. I enjoy them as entertainment. I think some of the YouTubers, they were serious, but they could have just been joking as well. But my point is that a lot of the things that they joked about or spoke about, and these are things they said 5-6 years ago, they've kind of happened. They've kind of actually come true.
Well, I kind of see a lot of conspiracy theories to me are very similar to science fiction We're even if they're not true, they're extrapolations. They could be true. One of an upcoming show, I want to explore the idea that we're in this age of lying and a loss of reality. Gaslighting is. Everybody gaslights. Right now, it's hard to determine. People are not sure if Trump is really sick. And if he's pretending to be sick, why? Is it so he can sell this drug that he says cured him? Is it so he can this, that, the other thing? Is it so he got out of the debate? Is it to get a sympathy vote? And people who consider themselves to be very, level-headed, have begun to embrace conspiracy theories, because what's the essence of a conspiracy theory? Something that in some way there's got to be some element of truth in there. You got to be able to something in there that you can easily believe. So after a while, some people, QAnon, whatever, that's outrageous. But more and more people are believing in conspiracies because I think less and less people, this is something we talked about on the show with Jeff Gomez, less and less people have a grip on what reality is or how to really discern right from wrong. Because as Leighann said, we live in a bubble of confirmation bias.
Let me define reality for you. What day is your rent?
Please.
What day is your rent due? When's your visa bill due? What's your credit score? Now, credit score is a little bit more of a fabrication and point of social control, but you understand what I'm saying. When you sick, where do you go? To the hospital. You go to a doctor. At some point, waving a little crystal around your stomach is not going to cure your stomach cancer. So we can define.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
Even worse than that, it's people who. Was it the 7-Day Adventists or the Christian Science, whatever, who, you could have terminal cancer and we're just going to pray it away. And then if you die, it was just God's plan. But to give somebody a fighting chance, they're not going to do that because they want God to have his miracle.
Wait, what?
That's great.
If I could touch on the gaslighting for a minute, if I could backtrack to something you just said.
Oh, please touch upon the gaslighting, please. Thank you.
Okay, so the gaslighting, you said Q, and some people think it's outrageous. A lot of people do think of Q. They hear that, they think it's some outrageous conspiracy theory, which I suppose, in certain ways, it's associated with conspiracy theories. But what it really is that if you look into it, they say investigate yourself. The movement isn't actually telling anyone what to think. The movement is encouraging people to investigate for themselves. It apparently gives these little clues that the followers follow, almost like a game. I mean, sometimes I think we're just all being played. This is where the simulation part comes in, is because I feel like we are not each other's true enemies. I think at the end of the day, we all have more in common than not. That said,
that's my point. That's my point.
But that said, I think that we have been put in positions where we have to kind of pick sides, whether it's voting for a president or whatever it is. And it's like the simulation is playing us against each other. It's that Spider-Man meme where the Spider-Man are pointing at each other.
That's what a simulation's for. You have to, okay, let's see. What if we put Leighann Lord in charge? There it is. And then the simulation begins. So, Ms. Lord?
Sir? And I declined, by the way.
You declined. You don't want to be.
I didn't apply for the job. I'm not interested.
Mike, on these tech guys who they interview on this documentary called Social Distortion, one of the things that got mentioned twice was these algorithms that they've created to go out there and watch what we like and see how we interact and then try to steer us and guide us kind of thing. They admit that they don't know once they set these things out there and they're becoming more and more AI, they don't know what they're going to do, kind of thing. In fact, some of the creators of some of these algorithms are surprised by how it has changed the end results that they've created.
That's the nature of AI, and I have to say, if you look at technology in many ways as man trying to recreate life, most of technology is based on some, man-made version of the way life works. So sure, of course these things are going to take on a life but here's the deal. In a way, we all have algorithms. We have, if we were computers, if the human mind is a computer, we use algorithms to figure out, what to say, how to deal with situations, how to meet a guy, how to meet a girl, how to get a job. You have to have the better, the more data you have, the better your algorithms will give you answers. So that just, to me, just makes sense.
Yeah, but really, Mike, one of the things that
science fiction
that they're talking about, who creates these algorithms? Who are the majority of the people that are creating these algorithms?
You're saying social invalids create them?
No. But they're mostly white males.
Oh yeah, of course they're biased. Of course they
are.
Yeah,
and even these very intelligent people who've created these algorithms, but who try to, lately more so than before, not put biases into their calculations, even though something starts out from a specific or bringing in certain results, they find that over time that there are certain biases that these algorithms gravitate towards.
But again, and that makes sense to me too. I mean, if I asked the three of you here, okay, I'll start with you, Brenda, just as a random question. What's your definition of a man's man?
That would be a man who is protective, productive, and caring. Masculine.
What's masculine? What does that mean?
Those things I just said. I think
those are masculine qualities. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay. Leighann, what's a man's man in your opinion?
A single gay man who's ready to date. That's a man's man.
You know what I'm saying.
You heard my answer.
Okay,
again, and if your
That's
point is that when you ask someone a question, you ask two people the same question, that the response can vary
depending on the interpretation of the question. I agree.
Because we have not really defined our terms, have we?
No. Yes, Ms. Lord. You are correct, Lord. John Maucer, what's your definition of a man's man?
Well, we really need
man's man.
We really need to define the parameters of that situation and the circumstances in which we find ourselves.
Oh, look at you, an evasive man.
No, because there are different definitions of the word depending.
Joe, I want your personal definition. Don't be Byron Saunders on me.
I don't have a personal.
Byron.
I don't have a personal
definition.
Personal definition. Yeah, because
all right,
at the end of the day.
That's slippery.
And that question is also
certainly not you. No, only kidding.
It's very gender.
Hey,
it's gender biased.
I got hairy chest. Of course it is.
It's gender, and it's also generational. Because who popped up in my mind? John Wayne.
There it is. See, you're underscoring all my point. So I'm just coming back to say algorithms, and over time, those algorithms change. The very same algorithms, whether it's culturally, individually, it's the same. Our human understanding is an algorithm. That's my science fiction point. So, I want to move on to the last couple questions here, because Leighann, I want to know, what are your predictions for the next 3 months?
I don't have any predictions for the next few months.
Oh, come on.
Well, here's the thing. If 2020 has taught me anything, it's that human beings are incredibly fallible, incredibly short-sighted, we don't have a tolerance for the unknown, and so we make predictions to make ourselves feel better, and to give us some sort of certainty and control, which is really just an illusion. So I will demur. I will not answer that question. I can answer it, give you broad strokes. Something's gonna happen. Things gonna change. Some folks ain't gonna like it. That's my prediction.
Okay. That's pretty good.
That's a good one.
Thank
What'd
you.
you say? There it is. What is your prediction, Joe Basiri?
I have no idea.
Do you have any? You have no idea.
Listen, the monkeys who's told the coronavirus are driving the car, and I have no idea where it's going to end up. We could end up in Tijuana or going over the cliff at the Grand Canyon.
The cliffs of Dover. Okay, I understand. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll be back for the last part of the show. You are tuned to listener-sponsored radio, WBAI. The name of the show. And we're back. So, moving ahead here, Leighann said she had no predictions. And Joe Masiri, did you have any specific predictions? You started to say you don't.
We're all going to hell in a handbasket.
We're all going to hell in a handbasket. You think we're going to be given a handbasket?
Yes.
With these COVID 15 pounds, ain't nobody going to fit in that basket. You're going to need a bigger basket.
I think you're going to need a bigger basket. Well, it's interesting because I think one other byproduct, there are a number of byproducts, I think, from 2020. One of them is, trying to determine what's real and having what I can only describe as a loss of faith in some ways in reality, in, what used to be the norm or the normal way of ascerning or discerning things. The feeling that Brenda described of feeling that you're in the Matrix, feeling that it's a simulation, that slight disconnectedness that happens when you see something, you're like, I know it's real, but that's just, what the hell is going on? And it's not because of that one thing. It's because of all the things that are happening. The pandemic in itself is a backdrop we've only seen in history books or science fiction movies. So to live something that you've only been told as a fictional or a distant narrative in itself, I think, adds a surreality. Then just how we all deal with that, what is given rise to, what is given attention to. And that's the other thing we were talking about, Brenda. And early in the show we were asking the delegates, do you feel a lot of the things we as humans, especially in this country, especially in media, whether it's sports, entertainment, celebrity gossip, do you feel a lot of things that were frivolous have become even more frivolous? Or do you feel like things that were once important have become more frivolous? What are your thoughts on what we used to pay attention to versus what we pay attention to now?
I think a light has been shined onto the shallowness of our pop culture.
Wouldn't that be shown? Shown. That's shown.
Shown.
Shown. Okay, shown.
A light has been shown. There's a spotlight on. Take two. There's a spotlight on the shallowness and the debauchery of our pop culture. While it's very entertaining, Satan is very talented. Satan is beautiful. And I think people are seeing a lot of the negativity of our pop culture and how I think it's okay to portray negativity in art. I'll give you an example of what I mean. Not necessarily negativity, but debauchery. Cardi B song WAP. I think that song is hot. I love it. Macaroni and cheese. I think that's the funniest shit in the world. That's so funny. Oh, sorry.
No, you don't.
But I think that should be for adults, and it's being peddled to children. There's little 5-year-olds, and you can say, oh, well, this little kid doesn't know what it means, but it does. When I was a child, I loved Donna Summer Bad Girls. I didn't know it was about prostitutes, and it didn't probably really affect me, but I wasn't watching a video with her putting her private all over and doing the dance. It was, and even then probably was inappropriate a little bit. Those lyrics for me, the bad girl lyrics for me, so young. And these things do affect your development, and they affect your view on life. So I think that COVID has put a spotlight on the shallowness and the debauchery of that. If that answers your question. Does that answer your question?
That
and like I said, I'm
question.
not for censoring. I like art, and I think, Satan can show me his art and I'll appreciate it, but I'm old enough and wise enough to not be influenced by Satan.
And I'm assuming when you say Satan, you don't necessarily mean the guy with the horns.
Yeah, I mean the guy with the horns.
You mean with the guy with the horns?
Yeah, haven't you seen South Park?
Joe. Okay, no, I haven't seen. All right, well, let me ask you, Leighann. I
mean that metaphorically, and also
Yeah, no, I know. that's kind of what I thought.
But also,
listen, you know, if it is, it's a whole other conversation, a whole other show. Leighann,
sir.
Yes. So, coming to you now, the same question. What are your thoughts on what is to come? I mean, you said, you know, that it's not going to be good and all these things, but I mean, do you feel let's put it this way, are you looking forward to 2021?
No. And I'll tell you why. We are really wrapped up in the struggle of what 2020 is. And things don't just turn on a dime. So I feel as if we're all sort of kvetching about 2020, and this just might be the warm up for the meltdown. So, but
the setup for the series.
Yeah. Or the setup for the knockout, you know, but
right.
Again,
it's just first season.
It's not all or nothing. You know, you're going to have a year, you're going to have some time. There's going to be some bad stuff. There's going to be some new stuff. I think we've had to step back and reassess what good means. You know, it's not necessarily, I got to fly to Paris this year. It's, I went to the grocery store and they had the things I wanted and needed, and I could afford to buy them. You know, that's hot. A full tank of gas? Woo! Sexy. You know, so I think this year, in all of the things, the hard things that have happened, we get to reassess and appreciate good on a different level and find joy in different spaces.
So, in other words, we've gained perspective.
Some of us, yes. There's some folk that are going to continue to do stuff the hard way.
By the way, Danny says that things don't turn on a dime. The start of COVID turned things on a dime, and it started a whole, you know, he thinks 21.
I'm sorry. Let me clarify. Let me clarify. Bad stuff happens immediately. Okay, I don't have the mathematical proof of this, but you know, if you were in school and you looked at your transcript, it seems like an F brings down your GPA faster than an A brings it up. It is so much easier to tear down than to build up. So when I mean things don't turn on a dime, I mean getting them back on the right course, getting, you know, the nation and people and our culture steered towards something good for the greater good of all. That's really hard. You know, it's easier to burn it all down. And I'm not in favor of burning it all down. I like Wi-Fi. Can we please not burn it all down?
I said, don't burn down the Wi-Fi tower.
I'm just saying. You know, I don't know what people see in anarchy. Is it the rape? Is it the murder? Is it the forced relocation of assets? I mean, I don't get what that is.
Well, you know, in a way, it's you know, you could fantasize about ruling in the aftermath.
Listen, we can't even rule in the pre-math.
Yes, but in the aftermath, it's chaos, and that's when Joe and I will come to power.
Haven't you seen Mad Max?
Exactly.
What's wrong with you, woman?
That's right. You put some feathers in your hair, and Joe's in charge.
I could have my own truck.
Okay,
with
then I have to say this. We don't need another hero.
Oh, look at that! There it is
for the win.
You got Joe Maucer. There it is for the win. All right. Well, you are tuned to listener-sponsored radio, WBAI 99.5 FM, and I want to say that Night Shift. If you enjoy this show, if you enjoy the conversation, if you enjoy the music, if you enjoy the snide comments from Danny in the background, any of that, if you're enjoying, it's the best part of the show. So you can make a pledge and support Night Shift. You can go online to give2WBAI.org, and when you go, you can then become a supporting member by become a BAI buddy in the name of Night Shift for like $10, $15 a month, and it just comes out and you forget it. It's just coming out. It's $10, $15. Come on. You know, you pay for a whole lot of other things that you love that are essential We've all changed our perspective, as Leighann said, and now have what was the word you used? A different definition of good. What did you say? You had a very specific phrase.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
I had a.
What? Yes, you said something very poetic. You said you have a new definition of good, a new happy.
A new way to see and define joy. It's not necessarily in the grand experiences, but in the small things that we can appreciate.
Yes, like night shift.
Like night shift.
Like night shift, one of the small things. Now you should appreciate night shift. $15 a month. Show that kind of regular appreciation. Give the number 2, WBAI.org. Give to night shift. And here's the deal. We've changed our whole format. We're not doing the marathons like we used to. We're just hoping to get, this is the experiment for the next, year, to see if we can just not have to go into marathon. I'll be a preempted, I guess maybe every 6 weeks or something like that they're going to do. But not having to do a month of begging for money. Just asking you to support. Asking you if you're enjoying it, whether you listened once or you listen every week or if you listen every now and then. And it gives you some measure of entertainment. Make a pledge to Night Shift. Brenda Black.
Hello.
Brenda. Yes. All right. I have a question for you. Considering the fact, Leighann is a stand-up comedian, so her world has changed in terms of how she could perform. It's transmogrified, and she's had to develop new skills, and it's just been a lot. And we've talked about it on the show. You are a DJ, known for moving massive crowds of people. So, what is this whole COVID thing been like for you and your industry?
Well, it's really changed the landscape of nightlife and events and clubs. It's difficult to say, but because I don't want to be negative, but even if the clubs and bars open tomorrow, it's just the scene is very different, and the business has changed. It's very difficult. I still have work. I still have bookings. I'm very fortunate, but it's a lot of, a lot of performers. It's just changed. But as an artist, this is not so unusual for me. When you work as full time as an artist, this kind of up and down happens. So, I mean, the reason why it's happening now is what's so unusual. But the fact that as an artist, your career might go up and down financially, or your availability to work might go up and down, is not that unusual. I'm actually having a little bit more issues because I recently came out on Facebook as a conservative Catholic Trump voter. And so a lot of people are trying to cancel me and saying I'm a racist and I'm a Nazi and I'm hateful and all this drama. And that's something that I think is more difficult because I think there's some clients who would feel hesitant to hire me because of that. I mean, it's not going to affect me. And that's something to call back to what you're saying earlier. Shocking is how I grew up where you could have different political views and you didn't want to destroy the other person's life. And I understand people feel very passionate that, you know, the one candidate or the other is going to ruin the world. But we are not each other's enemy. We really are not. And people who have known each other for before Trump was president are now quarreling to the point where they don't ever want to speak anymore. And they want people to get fired from their job, and they want to hate them, and it's ridiculous, and it's sad, and it's demons. And I rebuke thee, Satan, in the name of Jesus Christ.
Knowing the climate we're in, and I don't mean this in a snide way, knowing the climate we're in, and knowing that you have to deal with, you know, I'm someone, I appear on PBS. I've been on, you know, PBS NewsHour, and I've also been on Fox Business News. I've been on Marie Bartiromo's show, you know, for years. I've appeared there, so I consider myself to be a bipartisan critic. So, but I haven't appeared on her show, you know, wearing a Black Lives Matter pin or whatever. My question to you is, what made you decide at this divisive time to come out? What compelled you to do that?
Because I felt that I see a lot of people being bullied into silence. And I can't stand for that. There's something inside of me that I will always speak up when I see somebody being bullied, and I see people being bullied into silence, and I felt myself being bullied, and I was very strategic. I was a Catholic. I recently came back to my faith as a Catholic. To me, it's like I love Star Wars, but now I love the Bible. I always love the Bible, but I ran away from it. That's a whole nother story, but to me, it's just a story that I like and a philosophy that I like of life. It doesn't mean I think anyone else has to believe it. I think if you want to follow the Klingon philosophy and that gives you good morals and stories that bring you joy, I love that too, or whatever faith you want to have. But I felt that I could not say it. I knew that I would be coming out, and it's kind of ironic that to come out as somebody who has conservative values or has religious values, you know, it's like the conversation that somebody gay had 20 years ago. Well, when I came out as gay, you know, and now if you come out as that, I have gay people attacking me, saying I'm homophobic. I also have gay people supporting me. It's not all negative, but that's something shocking to me. I'm being told by people who, I don't like to throw around the race card, but I have white people telling me I'm racist. And I'm Puerto Rican, and I've dealt with a lot of racism in my life, and I've watched family members deal with a lot of racism, and friends who are not white, and I'm being told by really white privileged people.
There is, and I had this conversation recently, there's a difference between a conversation, a debate, and an argument, okay? And it's like low, medium, high. And I think that conversation or debate is always the way to go. And I don't really think much is ever accomplished through an argument. And arguments just lead to the high, the really high, which is the fight. And at the end of the day, you know, for me, okay, as the life is like science fiction view of humanity and what these humans do. You know, there are a lot of things to look at and weigh to really give context to everybody's beliefs. It used to be that you say, well, never talk about religion or politics.
Those are the only things to talk about.
Well, nowadays we're in a different place, but that's what they used to say. That was like the cliche. But we live in a very different age.
And that's to control you.
Well,
you should always speak about stuff.
I can't say that I disagree with you. I can't say that I agree with you, because then that would be a whole other show. But, Joe Maucer,
yes,
in the last 2 minutes here, anything you want to say? Parting words of wisdom for helping us all get along?
Well, be true to your beliefs and don't be a hypocrite. Because a hypocrite not only disrespects their own beliefs, but has no regards for others as well.
Those
are that's hashtag Joeisms.
That's deep.
We have Joeisms. So, well, I thank you all, delegates of Night Shift. Danny's down. He wants us to discuss this all next week. He wants you to come back, Brenda, so we can have the great debate. Look, he said it'll be a great debate. Brenda versus Leighann. And the best woman wins. You know,
and again, that is a very masculine phrasing and setup for that conversation. Well, do we see what we just did there?
Well, Danny's a man's
Danny
man.
did it. Danny's a man's man.
I don't mind that.
Danny's a man's
I don't mind that at all. I love the patriarchy.
Oh dear.
I love the patriarchy. I love men. I think men are fabulous. I think that feminism is cancer.
Well, Leonard, don't even say these provocative things before you go. We have to go.
But I think I believe in equality of women, and I think women are fabulous. As much as I love men, I love women just as much.
I understand, and there's no conflict for you.
No, I love matriarchy. I love motherhood. Even though I personally don't want to have a child out of my body.
I understand. Brenda, you are a mix of contradictions.
I'm a multi.
As always have been.
My pronoun is multi and mother.
Yes, I understand. And you know what my pronoun for Joe is?
What?
I'm not going to say. All right, until next week.
Back yourself up into a corner again.
Yes, I did. I can't say it. So, Joe Messeri, thank you.
You're welcome.
For being here. And Leighann Lord, thank you.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. I wish everyone well.
And thank you, Brenda Black. Yes. Thank you, Brenda.
Peace and love.
Leighann.
Peace and love.
Joe.
Stay safe.
All right. Until next time, this has been Night Shift. And you can find us on the web, by the way, at lifeislikesciencefiction.com, or you can follow us on Facebook, NITESHIFT. And on Twitter, NITESHIFTZ. Here, every Monday night from 10 p.m. till midnight. All right, so we're done.